Apologies in advance if it looks like my eyes are just about ready to fall out of my head. I've had a pretty hell of a long day. I've been up since like late last night because my body clock tends to get a bit weird like that, and it's just kind of stupid and whatnot. And so I decided to basically just not really give a crap about what I did in today's tournament, but the fact that I still managed to complete it means I'm still going to do a tournament. I'm still going to do a report. So I took Acid Trip deck to this local today. I was actually just about prepared to take Raccoons, but I decided at the last minute to stick with Acid Trip. I'm probably going to take Raccoons next week. We'll see what happens there. But went to Acid Trip deck. Actually went with Acid Trip deck. Actually did pretty well. Got went 3-2. And round one was against Koa'ki deck. Basically, way it worked, game one was pretty much did the strategy right off the bat. Got the Acid Golem on the board. Got the burn damage. I actually got the burn damage off once on there because he then played Koa'ki Ice, which destroyed the Acid Golem. So I had to forge a backup plan, which involved basically beating down with beat sticks and then basically finishing off with Maestroke. It was the only time I ever got out Maestroke, and it was just useless. And I only got him out because whatever, just about anything else could have won me the game at that point, and I had no back row to fear, so it's not like I was necessary to go for Lagia or Dolka. But I don't think I even could have gone into them at that point. So did that game one. Game two pretty much ran over the top of me. One hilarious thing late into that game, I had kept a note of the fact that he had an Iron Core in his hand, and I had a Mind Crush sort of set for the last turn or two, and so so we didn't have a whole lot of stuff left, and then as soon as he drew for his turn, I then flipped up Mind Crush, called Iron Core. So I got rid of the Iron Core that was in his hand, and then I actually saw what he topped that turn, and it was actually another Iron Core. So I managed to completely empty his hand with that move, and funnily enough, I actually repeated it again game three because he managed to keep pushing over me and beat me down game two. So game three we went into time. I think we started off in time. Or did we? No, I think we started off just before time, and then we went into time. And so basically I managed to by the time I got, but basically for my first turn in time, I managed to get the Acid Golem creature swap play off, just slowly get around to burning him, and then just to ensure that he couldn't get over me, I actually went and used Bahamut Shark to go into my second Acid Golem just to sit on it on my last turn of time. And so the opponent pretty much, like, even if I didn't do it, he would have it wouldn't have mattered if I had the Acid Golem. He scooped anyway, so I got that 2-1. And then round two I got 2-0 by Madolches. It was pretty much just a procession basically. It's like frickin' Australia being bowled out for 47 in a few years back. It sucked. First game, Thunder King too strong. Second game, Tiarumisu puts in the work. Round three, I played against Zombies. Yeah, I played against Zombies, which I don't think it was a full strength deck, but I basically kept field establishment game one. I actually had a little bit of trouble getting over his monsters because I don't have a genuine beat stick of a monster except for Bahamut Shark, at least in terms of rank 4s. And basically, sort of had problems because he had Call the Mummy and he kept putting Vampire Lords and Koa'kis on the board. I managed to get over those and take that game, and then game two took quite a while, but eventually he sort of just found a way to push through my back row and my defenses and actually managed to take that game. I ended up having to scoop after he established a field of Vampire Lord and a Koa'ki, and I think he got something else off of a Mizuki, and sort of just pushed there for the game. And then game three, game three started immediately on time, so I basically just put everything I had onto the board, pushed. I went into Dolka because he had been playing Night Assailants and Old Vindictives in his deck. So I went into Dolka. I ran into his monster. It was an It was a Night Assailant. So I negated that. Kept pushing for damage with Carbazols, and for the last turn of time, he had to inflict well over 5,000 damage to me to win the game, and he just outright couldn't. He basically just scooped immediately. Then round 4, I played against 3.5 Axis. Game 1, he opened the nuts, just pretty much sacked the crap out of me. I had no answer. Game 2, I spent a few turns beating him down with the Carbazols, and then he just sort of got something to work, got a bear out of nowhere. I think he then dropped like a Tensu or something and managed to blow up a card. I did manage to MST one Tenki and Mind Crush what he got off of another Tenki. And then when I saw what he had off the Spirit, and then he I think he used the third Tenki to add a Spirit, and then I Mind Crushed that as well. But by the time I hit that with a Mind Crush, he'd already had Bear, and he'd already had a Bear and a Dragon on the board, and he'd pretty much managed to weather my storm and get over the top of me. So that was a 2-0 loss. And then round 5, I went up against Gogogo, a Gogogo deck. The only reason I knew it was a Gogogo deck was the simple fact that when he was looking for his monsters at the end of game 1, I saw pretty much all the Gogogos. I think he did summon a Gogogo Ghost in game 2, but basically he only saw a grand total of 5 monsters in game 1. He found both of his Max Cs, he found 2 of his Mask Chameleons, I'm not sure if he was running 2 or 3, and a Kage, which I actually caught on the fact after the game that he said it, which you couldn't do, because you can only special summon it through its own effect, but it wouldn't have had any effect on the game because basically I just kept beating him down with the Carbazols again, just hippo beats pretty much was a bit of a theme. I tried getting Thunder King on the book because this is the guy who was running, I always used to play against, who had the Mermail deck and was the scrubby one that didn't know his rulings, and we actually had an issue like that in game 1. I kept beating him down. I beat him, I hit him with a Carbazols. I had an Aquamador in hand, so I set the Aquamador, and then he tries to be like, oh, that's a summon, Torrential. And she's like, dude, it's a set, it's not a summon. And she's like, oh, it's a summon, Torrential. Just, no. And he threw it, and he pretty much threw it back onto his back row, and rather amount of disgust. It's just like, well, dude, it's not my fault you're picking terrible situations in which to rule Shark. I mean, I'm not a judge, but I know my rulings. Even something as, especially something as trivial as that. So, then game 2, he didn't actually see a whole lot of his monsters either. I basically waited until he got a monster on the board. Sat back, went Bahamut Shark, used the effect, he Veiled. Okay, and then I sat back. I had a couple of back row. I think I was pretty much sorted. He didn't capitalize on that Veiler play, so next turn I used Bahamut Shark. I got another Acid Golem on the board. I then creature swapped it, and we then at that point went. We didn't go into time. The match was over way too quickly. Basically, just kept burning him, and it was actually one of the funnest games because, he said that he can't attack, and then he just he put it into attack mode, and then he Fiendish Chained it so that he wouldn't take the damage. I top decked my sided in Twister. I only had the one Twister sided in, and I top decked into it, so I blew that up. And just sort of sat there and let him burn away. He tried summoning a Gigantes, and I was just like, no, you can't special summon. Actually, this was after, because he also had the plague. He also had a play going where he had he flip summoned Gogogo Ghost, normal summoned Goblinberg, used its effect to special summon Mask Chameleon. I chained Max C to that, so I got the +1. I then immediately torrentialed the board and chained Macro to completely banish all those monsters. So it's just it's real hell of a disruptive play there. He managed to get Macro off the board, and there was a Mask Chameleon in the graveyard after I attacked into it. So he tried summoning Gigantes with Acid Golem on the board, and I sort of said, yeah, you can't do that, and it pissed him off even more. And then he was about 1,600 life points left during his turn, and he knew that he couldn't get Acid Golem off the board during his or my turn. So he basically just sort of like threw his hand. It just kind of just like threw his hand on the bloody table in disgust and was just like the salt was very obvious, and that was pretty much the whole purpose of the deck. Seeing something like that, I do believe, I believe that is enough for me to consider it a success. So I did that, and so went 3-2. I did find out what my ranking was, but I forgot about it because brain's not kind of working. I believe it was either 12th or 14th. I'm not 100% sure, but tiebreakers kind of just cost me top 8 because I know someone went 3-2 and made it to top 8, so that kind of sucks. So yeah, the Bahamut, the Acid Trip deck that I used here is an updated version. I will be doing that sometime tomorrow because at the moment I am just absolutely dog tired at the moment, so I'm just going to have a feed and crash because screw all these bloody marathons staying up. I probably should have just skipped the local, but I really wanted to just go trolling. So hopefully next week I'll be going to the local and getting a, what do you call it, and using my raccoon deck. And last thing before I go, I grabbed some booster packs on the way out. I had a whole bunch. I got a whole bunch of Legacy of the Valiant. Didn't put a whole much out of it. I think I got a secret, but it was the first Monarch, so it was boring as all sin. I did, however, get a Gladiators Assault Special Edition. Got a Phantom of Chaos as the promo, and the noteworthy pull out of this, which I'm sure Darkness Cell 1989 would be appreciative of, I managed to get an Ultra Rare Test Tiger, which was quite nice. And I do believe I actually also got a Shadow Mirror and a Light Mirror, among other bits and pieces. So all in all, it was pretty successful. I think I was quite happy with how the deck went. Now we've just got to re-sleeve the deck because I found out partway through the zombie matchup that one of my Pot of Duality sleeves ended up splitting. So kind of got to go ahead and re-sleeve that and all that sort of jazz, then get a feed and have some bloody sleep because screw all this marathon staying awake and whatnot. So that's it. Tomorrow we're going to do the deck list for the updated deck list for Acid Trip deck, and I might also, just for the hell of it, do a raccoon deck list, see if I feel like it. But until then, that's it. I'm just gonna go and catch some Z's now. So laters.